We're here. Oh my gosh. You're so amazing. Okay, you guys. For unrelated reasons, I was having a meltdown and here we are. So, we are live on Facebook and I'm super
Yay!
excited. So it's Thursday, August 27th. When for those of you who are just gonna catch us live, hopefully live, or catching us on the replay, my name is Mocha Mystique, and I work with healers, coaches, body workers, and I love helping people utilize their potential for creativity and success. But I also love helping people fulfill their passion without sacrifice. So that makes it even more amazing to be able sitting with Canada's dog whisperer. That's what I call her because she is. Ariane came into my life a few years ago, and she has taught me so much about myself through the journey with my dog. So she's the most amazing, one of the most amazing personal development coaches, dog trainer, truly animal communicator. Because in times when I have literally struggled so much with my dog, the communication that she's able to do and have with an animal is profound. It truly is. But what I love about her mission is more than just empowering people through games with their dogs. It's not about having a game. It's literally about teaching you your full potential to have a genuine connection. So she helps you with personal growth to also be a confident and effective leader of your dog, but all in an environment that is not about control, not about frustration. And I think she comes from such a different place that it truly, she is what the world needs right now. She is absolutely what the world needs for how to communicate better with yourself, but through the animals that we love. So I wanted to introduce you and share her with my world because she's such a powerful person and such a light in my life. And I wanted to share her with the rest of you and the people in my world.
Oh my gosh, what an introduction. Thank you for inviting me here. And I love your work, your world, your numerology, who you are, your body. I have learned so much about my body just from you. So that's where friends are for, that we learn from each other, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I love to be here, and my mission is make this world a better place with one dog at a time, because the dogs show us how we can live with more peace, more freedom, no control, inspiration. So let's do that.
I think that last part that you said is what touches me. I think there's sometimes with people that we go in, not sometimes, I think humans in generally have this element of control. We have to control all the things, right? And we're taught this, not just about dogs, but we're taught this even from a programming perspective. Only touch the things or do the things or be the things that you can control. Only, right? You can only control so much. And then we take those into other areas where we learn that you can't control anything in life truly. You can become aware of, you can make adjustments to, but there's nothing we can truly control. But unfortunately, people carry that to their animals. And I see it in my neighborhood all the time. And what I find striking, and I saw this woman the other day walking her dog. I had my dog, and she's walking. She grabs it by the face and she's like, heel, heel. And I'm like, and sometimes what I notice, and I'd be curious your thoughts, is I notice that people, we tend, I literally saw her and it was almost like I could see a father figure or a mother grabbing her as a child, holding her face, saying, "You're not listening to me," right? And so sometimes I see this behavior of what almost like a parent does to a child, and then they do that because it's an animal of control. I don't know if you see that in the work that you do, but I find it fascinating. The control piece is something that you make people aware of.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so true. The way how we treat our dogs comes from often trauma that we had in the past, right? And if we go back to that control part, why do we have that desire to control?
Mhm.
And it originally comes from the hunting part, right? If we can catch something, then we have food on our plates for the family, And the more we can control how often we can do that, the better we live.
Mhm.
But we're not living in that time anymore where we need to
Right.
hunt for our food. And right now, we're almost living in a time where what we have doesn't feel enough. So the
Right.
hunting part is still in there. So the desire for control comes from that we don't see what we have anymore, but we always want more.
Very true.
And getting that back to our behavior with the dog, it is almost programmed that control was the only way how your dog would listen.
Mhm.
That was
Right.
that is how it was taught to me when I
Mhm.
was younger.
Right.
But if you start to trust your own intuition and you start to explore what your dog does if you
Mm.
inspire or feel different,
Mhm.
you get a dog who is not listening because it is afraid of you. It has the fear from maybe being hit or screamed or need to go somewhere where it doesn't want. But now it wants to do things because it wants to do it for you. That's the
Mhm.
difference from
Yeah.
inspiration to control. But if we had any trauma, it reflects back in the behavior that we show up to our dogs.
That's
And then
powerful.
and then our dogs, they kind of mirror us back. Though they say like, what you're doing now is not really what you should do. And they show us, but we don't listen anymore because we know it
Right.
better, right? We know
Mhm.
how it works. Our dogs should listen. That's what the world tells us, right?
Right.
So
It should come
that,
when called. It should walk
yeah,
next to us. It should be this perfect little pet that we dress up
yeah.
and that we do all the
And
crap that we do to
and we
dogs.
forget that there is a whole learning process towards that.
Mhm.
How can you expect your dog to come when it's cold if you never taught it?
Right.
But that
Right.
is in the world where we're living. We got a dog, and if my dog is not coming when it's cold, then the neighbor is looking and says, like, You see, your dog is not listening to you." Because it is the entertainment around it. It's a drama around it that keeps coming. So we feel even worse, and there the control starts to kick in again.
Mhm. We
So
wouldn't wanna
it's
be a peer that we can't control our animal.
no, no, for sure not. So that is why it is hard to step away from that control and start to learn to inspire. But
Mhm.
if you can, you get so much back from your dog. And
Yes.
even I do this for a couple years now, and I'm completely on the route of inspire instead of control. And I do that
Mhm.
with my kids as well. But that doesn't mean that they don't challenge me. It doesn't mean that
Right.
they challenge me and tell me like it's way easier and way faster to control right now. It is.
Mhm.
But that is because we thought that was the only way.
But it also in the aspect of in the attempt of control, it separates us from consciousness. It is
Hmm.
not a conscious behavior. It's
Nope.
pattern behavior. It's go-to behavior when one doesn't want to be in the present of the now moment.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
I don't have time for this. This dog isn't coming.
Yes.
This right? And
Yes.
where does and we also can see that as Pamela is saying, it mirrors our behavior. I think when we call a dog and they don't come and they're not listening, but how many times can we say that to ourselves about our own body?
Oh, for
My
sure.
body's talking to me. My mind's talking. I don't have time for this. I'll check in with it later, right? It's almost this
Yeah. Yeah.
and the
And
behaviors are so fascinating of what they do.
yeah. But if we start to take time
Mhm.
to understand and learn our dog,
Mhm.
then the recall is part of that. Because if you show that you are showing up for your dog right now without any distractions, then your dog will show up for you as well.
Okay. Okay, I have a question for you that I think people would like. People always consider, not always, but people consider getting a dog. And honestly, I remember you telling me this once, but I've forgotten. But it was very powerful only because I already have a dog. I've got a Great Dane named Titan, my blue Great Dane. He's my baby. And I've come to you before for help. But if I was to go think about getting a dog, what should be the checklist that I thought that to have was so different than the checklist of thought that you had. So my checklist was like, okay, maybe the size of the dog, the activity level of the dog, and what was it bred for? And you highlighted so many, few things, well, several things. It was a very long list, but it was insightful of what to look for when getting a dog. If I was going to get a dog today, what would I want to look for, do different, or consider if I was
I
getting
don't
a dog?
remember this chat anymore, so it
Oh
might be a little
gosh.
bit different. But that's okay. But the first thing where you start to think about when you want a dog is, what is the reason you want a dog? Why do you want a dog? Because if you don't know why you want a dog and you cannot commit to having a dog, then you shouldn't start with a dog.
Yeah, agreed.
That is the number one. And then we often go off on what kind of breed or size, and in what state are we when we're looking for a dog. What
Like
are
our
the
emotional state?
feelings? Yeah, what are the feelings that we are having why we think that we need a dog?
That's powerful. So if I'm searching for a dog and I'm in a place in my life where I might be emotional or needy, or I may end up finding a dog that's emotional or needy. And then when I transmute and transfer, not transfer, but I transition to a different state of being, now I have an emotionally needy dog that I complain about. Am I getting that?
I think it is already earlier, because when you're emotional, I think you see it in your dog, but you don't see it yourself. That's where it all starts. But the best thing, if you get a dog, because if you go back to your feelings, you attract the dog from the place where you are right now. Not from where you're going, but from where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I am in a sad place, then I will attract a dog that has either way the same experience or can compromise it. And then from there, your dog will mirror you to show you where to work on if you want to see it. And if that's strong enough and you transform, your dog will transform with you. Your dog will never stay behind.
They almost can be like a calibration tool in a sense to let us know where we are at emotionally, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, but it is often that we don't see that it is about us, not about the dog.
Right.
Right? We blame the dog for maybe emotional or needy, but we only can see it because we're at ourselves too. So if we open up to what the dog shows us and work through our own challenges, we can become stronger with our dog. And that's where the relationship only gets better.
So, you just made me think of it. So the other morning, I got up. So everybody's got their chair, including Titan. So he has his own ottoman and he sits. And if he sits on the, I guess you could say the east side of it, that is his cue to tell you he's hungry and he's waiting for dinner. One of two things, or it's hot outside and he just needs a break. He just wants to sit there and cool off because of where the fan is. Very habitual dog. So it's early morning, and I've learned some quirks about my dog. I think it was maybe, it's not that early, 9:30. I lean down, forgetting that it's past 8 o'clock, forgetting that it's 9:30, God forbid, to give my dog a hug. As I lean down, he runs from me, right as, because he hears his dad coming into the room, runs from me, runs around to daddy, buries his head in him. So then I hear, "What did you do to the dog?" And Titan covers his eyes so he knows how to get affection from Tom. He goes and pretends that I do something, which I didn't even touch the dog, right? Didn't even touch him. And he knows how to get like over attention, pull
It's
cookies.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
the craziest thing. But what I have to laugh now that I hear you say that is like after a certain part in the morning, like I don't want to, don't hug me, don't talk to me, just leave me alone. Like I'm the same way and he is the same. But I
Yeah.
have to laugh. He knows how to get attention because he's daddy's
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Totally his baby. So he's gonna run. So then like 2 hours later, I don't know what you did to the dog this morning, but I don't want him coming and running to me like that again. What did you do? Like, really? Like I'm gonna do anything to my dog. It was hilarious though. Like, so it's kind of this
Right.
household joke because he knows with grandma. He goes, if he goes to grandma and he knocks his food bowl, nobody's fed you.
That's our yeah, but that is how dogs work. It's very
Mhm.
habitual. They read our patterns. So
They do.
sometimes we just need to see the dog and ask the questions ourselves. How does my dog know?
Mhm.
Right? Because it's
Right.
often it's us who were the trigger that your dog knows, oh, now I know what's coming. Or this worked, so I can do that again.
Mhm.
So any behavior from your dog comes from you.
Yes.
Any.
You know, the other one he does to me is because I hate when somebody turns on the light on me and I'm sleeping. Oh,
Oh,
and
he
so
turns it
Titan,
on.
oh, so when anybody gets up, if they turn on a light, Titan, you'll hear this, and he'll give you side eye and he takes his paw and he covers, and there's this big sigh. And I'm like, oh my God, it looks literally just like me because I take the pillow. And now that you say that, I did not even think of that. He literally does the same thing. It's all drama. Turn off the light, right? And he'll lay there. And I never even thought about that. That's literally me.
So one thing is you attract a dog that
Mhm,
you need, right? To transform into better. And then beside that,
mhm.
you and any behavior they show comes from you. So
Yeah,
instead of blaming your dog, go ask yourself the question, what did I do that my dog is doing this?
yeah.
That's a
Well,
whole different world. If we live in this world, then there is no control because what my dog shows comes from me. So I better ask myself, what did I do that my dog thinks that it's rewarding?
mhm. So it's continual awareness. Dogs create a continual awareness of our own
Yes.
presence over and over
Yes.
again, truly. And that is the magic. So
Yes.
you have called yourself the spiritual game changer. What exactly is the spiritual game changer? And how does that relate to, is that part of the dog piece, or how does that relate to the animals?
So a game changer is because I want people to know a different perspective than they have right now. So I want that change in there. And then the
Mhm.
spiritual part is where my animal communication comes in, my channeling comes in. Those are the extra magic, I call it almost, to
Mhm.
help me to better show up for anyone that I work with. So I will help you to see the a different perspective so that it's not just blaming the dog, but change that. And then from there, I will help you with in any training that I do, I will help you with foundation games where you and your dog starts to feel each other instead of talk to each other, what we are so used to, right? So a
Mhm.
lot of the games are quiet games just by feeling each other. And
Mm.
that foundation sets you up and shifts your perspective in what I tell you to what I show you. And you can do that from home.
That's what I love too, is that people don't have to travel to Canada to
No,
receive the work that you do, right? I remember,
yes,
I think because so many people have dogs and dogs that they need help with, and you train differently. It's not about sending your dog to you and you send them back this packagely beautiful bowed dog that knows how to come sit, stay, and poop on command and fetch the old man a beer, right? So it's this whole different where there's this people can do an online program in the comfort of
yeah.
their own home. It's a drip system that's self-paced, correct?
Yeah, but it is
Kind
the
of, but
but
I know.
the most important part here is that when you bring a dog to a different environment, ask yourself, is your dog confident there? If it's a
Mm,
totally new environment, what is the
interesting.
first thing that your dog will do? Oh my gosh, where am I now? I should check this all out. Oh my gosh, there's other dogs. Oh my, there's other people, right? There is so much going on that your dog has no eyes on you.
So it's better to train in your own home.
For sure.
So
Because
that's the big difference.
if you don't start in your own home, then you're not starting to work with an open minded dog, because anytime when your dog is not confident, doesn't even hear you.
Which is just like what we do. We get into a new place. We're like, oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, there's a coffee shop over there. Oh, there's this. Oh, is that the beach? Did I see a sign for the beach? We're doing the same thing. So of course our dog. I
Right.
never thought of that.
Yeah,
Never thought of that.
and it's so good for dogs to go to new places, but
Mhm.
not to be trained, but to sniff around and to smell and
Mm.
just to experience it there, but not to train, because the training should be done in a confident place, and the best place is at home. And from that place, if your dog is doing the things at home good, then you start to, and we start in home, and then we start going in the yards, and then we start at the end of the
Mm.
yard, and then we start on the street, and then we start to maybe a playground. But we always look if our dog is confident, because when your dog is fearful, when your dog is stressed, then it doesn't hear you. It will not learn anything. The only thing
Mhm.
you're teaching your dog is you're you're afraid, you're anxious, and I want to put more on you. So what can turn around is that your dog even get the things that you try to do even get as negative instead of positive.
Mm. That almost reminds me of some of the reactions people even have with their children. They send them to a new school and expect the kid to hear and listen and not be overly stimulated by their surroundings.
Yeah,
And then they
yeah,
get in trouble or they have difficulties or they didn't hear or I don't know what homework they're
right.
talking about. The same thing.
Right. But even
Mm,
if we go to a conference and we know people, then it makes us more confident. So it's easier
yes.
to hear what's going on. If we're going to a new place where we try to like find our way, it takes some time. So it's better to be a little bit earlier and to meet some people
Mhm.
before things are told to you, because there is kind of a block around you if you're not confident.
Yeah, yeah. It's so true. Oh, that's amazing. I never would have thought of the stepping stones of being with my dog in the home, transition to the yard,
Yeah,
to the outside versus I
yeah,
did what many people do. I took my dog, we went to a location. There's other people, there's other dogs. Of course, he
Mhm.
wants to smell everything, and we're learning, what to do. And then all of a sudden, I take him back home and try to do it the same. But now he's got where I'm trying to learn in the house, in the yard. I think I added, looking back, I am aware that I added too much on the plate for my dog and expected too much because I didn't provide a staircase for him to walk up. I just was like, threw him in the pool and said, good luck. You should listen to me when you're done.
Right.
So
And
I'm drowning my dog and expecting him to swim at the same time.
right. But that
My
is
poor dog. Oh my
how
God.
often it happens, right? But so start with thinking about a recall, right? That's kind of I think the best example to give. So a recall starts in the house.
Mhm.
If you can, in a not too distracted area, cannot get the attention of your dog, do you think that you get that attention when you are out in the yard when the squirrels and the bunnies are running around?
Mm.
So you need to build it up. So the expectations that you have need to be realistic. Your dog needs to be taught what is actually important.
Mhm.
So if you want to be important, then you need to work on you first to make you so much value that when you
Right.
bring it outside with more distraction, not all the distraction right away, but like little bits at the time, you're generalizing that behavior that is taught inside. And
Mm.
now your dog is
Yeah.
like, oh, right, I learned that inside. Yeah, it was so cool because every time when I came, my owner was happy and energetic, and now I'm doing it outside. Oh, and she's still happy and energetic. Oh, right. This is fun.
Because they want to please us.
Yeah, but so we forget that anytime when your dog runs away, you don't have as much value as that reason why your dog runs away. So if it's the squirrels or the bunnies, they have secretly a lot of value. So
Oh,
if they
so it
run
almost the
after
squirrel
that,
has more value than you do.
mhm,
You're not giving enough. Okay, so I
well, you need to work on you to build your value. You
build the
need to
value
build
with the
that
dog.
value. Yeah,
I'm
because
gonna,
any
let's see here.
recall, why would your dog come to you?
Right.
Because you
That's
have
amazing.
value.
So the more value you add to the relationship with your dog, the more it wants
Mhm.
to stay with you consistently.
Yeah, and
Won't
do
do
we have
something else.
value if we're not living in the presence, but we are walking the dog with our phone in the hand and doing other things? Do we have value for the dog? Or is your
Mhm.
dog like, oh, she's not paying attention to me, so why would I pay attention?
Actually, that you taught me that a long time ago. So when I walk with my dog, I actually I don't take my phone anymore. I used to take it and listen to, get caught up on things. And it has definitely shifted. It took a little bit, not long, maybe about a week, but it shifted where he realizes that I don't have the phone and it's just me and him. And I get a little bit worried because he's older, if something happened, if I needed help. And then I was like, I can just holler at a neighbor or something, and figure it out. But I don't take it, and his behavior is different
Mhm.
because he does know it's just me and him. It's just the two of us, and we're
It's
there to
definitely,
go. And so he does not. Other dogs go by us. He's like, whatever, man. Yep. And just there isn't. He doesn't pay attention.
yeah,
And so it's made walking a different experience. And he's 7,
yeah.
so I've been walking him for years, right? So even I notice a difference in that. But the interesting part is it took you saying that. I'm like, oh yeah, he has been different. It's also acknowledging the changes along the way.
Yes, that's the other part where I really try to help people in that they celebrate like the small successes because like we want the dog to come home cold when we are in between the squirrels and the bunnies, but we never know that they do perfectly in the house and they always do it good in
Mhm.
the yard when there's no
Yeah.
bunnies. But they forget anytime when he is going after bunnies, they forget that they had so much success.
Mhm.
But we need to go back to our expectations. We need to learn our dogs that we have the value, that
Mhm.
we are the value. There is nothing around us that has more value than us. But if we don't believe that, how can we expect the
Mhm.
dog to believe that? That's the other
Yeah,
part.
I love that.
So
I love that.
sometimes I really see owners that are not in a right place to see their own value. And they can train their dog as much as they want. But if they don't see that they are not in a good place and that they need to work on their own value first, they will not see the shift.
Mhm. I love that. That's beautiful. It's like the acknowledgement it because it's causing a human to acknowledge their own gift of just presence in this world, and then it's mirrored through their animal.
And that's why the dogs help us to become a better person, to
Mhm.
live a life that we are here to be.
Nice. Are you okay if I switch gears just a small shift?
You
So
can. It's your interview. I'm here for you.
I reached out to a couple of people and asked them and wanted to see if they had a question. And and it was based upon the first acknowledgement of the interview. So that's how I picked the people that I picked when I first was saying that I had the glorious experience of being able to interview you, one of Canada's best, literally. And so that's why it's so excited. And so what I found was so amazing was the comments that I got back of people that I didn't know had worked with you were amazing. It was so heartwarming. Oh my God, she's amazing. I'd love to know this. And people that have already experienced your work. So people speak so highly of you. It was just, I just had flooded messages and it was really beautiful. And so
Nice.
that is what I truly just, it was so fun. So one of the questions I want to is, let's see. We've kind of touched on this. Some of them we've kind of touched on a lot of, which I actually love. So Jenny was asking, how does our behavior and pattern impact our dogs? What do they reflect to us? And I think we've kind of gone over that, but right now. But is there anything else you would add to that? That our
Yeah, I would
patterns
love
and
to add
behavior?
one more thing because
Please.
if you think about patterns,
Mhm.
I always go back to when the dog starts to do a behavior, I
Mhm.
want to know what happened just before. What is the trigger for the
That
dog?
instance of the event?
Yeah, because
Okay.
what is the trigger for the dog to do that behavior? Because that's
Mm.
where the answers are. And the dog
I'm
has
going to
a
pull it back just so I am with you. So you're saying, so if my dog goes and does creates a certain behavior, it's what happened with me in that moment, not what the dog was doing, or
that
both.
that could be too. But
Okay.
so for example, I will take that example. Maybe that clarifies a little bit. Um, I have a therapy dog in my house. So a therapy dog is a dog that goes with me to retirement homes and is there for the people to give just a little bit more love.
Mhm.
For that, I need to wear a black pants and a red shirt. And I need, even in the summer, I need closed shoes. I'm not wearing any closed shoes in the summer, only for that. So when I change myself, my dog is following me. It's like watching me and it's kind of like, okay, what is she doing? And the moment I touch my shoes, she's all excited, like, oh, I know what's coming. I know what's you see?
Yes.
So I don't I don't tell my dog that we're going, but my shoes are right now the trigger to know for sure
Mhm.
what's coming.
Yeah.
And of course, going into the winter, I will wear those shoes way more often. So she will have a couple times that she's kind of disappointed because I'm wearing the shoes, but we're not going, right?
Right, right.
That happens. So think always what is the thing before your dog is showing a behavior.
Mhm,
Either way, if you like the behavior or not, right?
mhm.
Because there's also dogs who don't like to drive in a car, or they don't drive, but they are in the car when I said it wrong. Sorry, that's still my trends. My it doesn't matter. But there are dogs that as soon as keys are picked up, that the dog is like, oh my gosh, it's completely excited, like, oh my gosh, I need to be in the car. I don't want to be in the car. That could be a behavior because the dog is afraid for the car. But you're not even in the car. But when you pick up the keys, might be already the trigger that your dog knows, like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I know what's coming. I don't want this, right?
Mm. So
So
you go
what is
into a different type of behavior and you're like, "What the hell's going on?" Not
yes,
realizing that you instigated
yes. So
said behavior.
always in any pattern,
Mhm,
yeah, your
mhm.
dog is figuring out what are you doing so that I can predict what is coming.
I love it. I
And
love it.
from that is where any behavior comes from. And if you figured it out,
Mhm.
your dog is always one step ahead. So there's
Very
another one.
true. Very, very true. I love it.
Your dog is always smarter than you. They always, especially around patterns, because they just read patterns all the time.
Mhm. They do, for
Is
sure.
that a little bit more the answer on the question?
Nope, that's perfect. Okay. So Pamela asked, um, they had a dog. So I was curious about this too. When dogs are timid and shy, and in her particular case, afraid of strange men, um, what are your thoughts on this? Because I know, for example, for a lot of us, I did this with my previous dog. I knew that she had my dog before Titan that she had issues, but she was severely abused. So I got her from a rescue. And so there was this working in. But with some dogs, when they're timid and shy, if we don't know what's happened to them and maybe nothing happened to them, what is it that we're experiencing? Does it go back to that same patterning? The pattern, the timid and shy dog that we have is still that reflection of what we chose and what we picked based upon the emotion? Or do you have
Uh,
any additional thoughts?
I always start to think about, so what is the reason why I attracted this dog? That is
Okay.
the first one. That's the first question that I would ask myself. Okay, so what is the reason and what can I learn from my dog? For example, I started dog training around 16. And at that time, I still lived in the Netherlands, and I went to one of the highest dog trainers in the Netherlands. I did a course there, and I worked with a couple dogs already. But in that course, I had two weekends that I was there in turn. So 2 days full on. And the second weekend, we got a dog that we needed to teach certain things. He matched the dog with you. He did that. And it was about psychology, it was about doctor, it was all about. So I got a dog that had a lot of fear, and I didn't understand why I got the dog with a lot of fear, because I could work with any dominant dog, but not with a fearful dog because I needed to be
Mhm.
like more calm, and I wasn't that way. But what he wanted to teach me is that I can work with a fearful dog as well, even if
Mhm.
I didn't know. He said, I don't have to give you a dog that you already know how to teach. So I got a fearful dog. And a fearful dog is you need to be so much more aware about their emotional state.
Mhm.
Again, when can we learn a dog? When they are in fear? No. We cannot learn anything when the dog is in fear. So what's our job? Our job is to create an environment around the dog that your dog can feel confident.
Mm.
And from that place, you can build the environment bigger. But
I love
you
it.
are the one who's always keeping an eye on the emotional state of your dog. So the moment that you make the environment bigger and your dog goes into the fearful state, you go too fast.
Mm.
So you need to go back. You need to build stronger. So you need to build a relationship with your dog that your dog can feel confident around you and with you build that environment bigger. But your dog sets the pace, not you.
Mhm. Because as
We,
humans, we're always too fast. It's not fast enough. I've been doing this. Why aren't they getting it? Everything. We
right,
are this instant gratification, and that expectation cannot translate to our dog and its
no,
behavior.
no,
It's like expecting the kids to just pop out of the womb and speak.
right, yeah. So, but
It doesn't work that way.
if you have a fearful dog for example, for kids, like
Mhm.
you have a dog who's afraid for kids, right? That means that you start to build a relationship with your dog, and the moment that you feel that there is a confidence built with you and your dog together, you start to have kids on a distance, and the distance needs to be that far that your dog can still be confident but can see the kids.
Mhm.
That's the only way how it can work through this.
Mhm.
So in this case, distance is your best friend.
Gotcha.
And if we go in our pace and expect that the dog should know it by now, your dog
Mhm.
is like, I don't know.
Mhm.
So the only thing our dog is teaching us is, I need more time.
Fear is I need more time in order to become confident.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
love
distance is
it.
your best friend.
Gotcha.
Use distance to overcome any fearful things.
Got it.
And that is about anxiety, but also about reactivity, right?
Right.
Because reactivity is often, why is there reactivity? It's often because the dogs are afraid or
Right.
never being taught that other dogs or other people can be around and I
Mhm.
don't have to do anything.
So I think you may have answered the next question. It comes from Susie. Is she's got a standard poodle and realizes that she doesn't like other big dogs. She's really nice, then all of a sudden will show teeth, get aggressive. And what's a better way to deal with this? Because I'm tired of not being able to walk by other dogs peacefully. I think
Yeah.
that's powerful. So, from everything we've been saying, it's that your dog needs time. You're thinking that it should already know something. Your
Yes.
expectation is the dog should be farther along. It should just be peaceful like other dogs. It makes me giggle a little bit because, like, we as humans can't even figure that part out, right? Like, just saying. It's a shit show
We
in
are not
some
friends
places.
with everyone, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're not friends with everyone, and we can't expect an animal to be as
Yeah.
well. But it
Yeah.
sounds like that we've answered that question. Unless there's something you'd like to add, that it's literally the dog hasn't had time. The dog doesn't feel confident. But also in that, I was curious. Does that also mean that somewhere along the way, I was taught that our job's natural instinct as our pet is to protect us? Do you think that's a true statement, that it's just kind of doing its job of protecting its owner, the territory, or
Um,
no?
the only reason why they want to protect us is
Mm-hmm.
because we don't take the leadership, and leadership means that we protect others.
Is that
we
like
are,
the switch of the alpha where the dog all of a sudden it feels like it needs to take a role on?
I don't like that there is the alpha and things in there because that's more about dominance, right? And
Mhm.
in if you go back in nature, there is we see it that way as an alpha, but it's not. I don't like to use it that way because it is not really how they told us it is. But there is a leader, and the job of a leader is that everybody is protected, everybody gets fed, right? And feels
Mhm.
safe.
Mm.
So if you, as a dog owner, are not stepping up to protect your dog, and protect your dog means also to be open to understand your dog. Because if your
Mhm.
dog shows you,
Mhm.
I am not sure what's happening here, please take me out, and you
Mhm.
still push him through,
Mhm.
your dog doesn't feel really supported, right?
So then there's a continual patterning that's happening. I try to walk the dog doesn't feel supported, the dog doesn't feel safe, the dog doesn't feel that you're taking leadership, and the loop
Right.
literally is just continuing over and
Yes.
over.
And
Okay.
and then it starts with a small pattern, and it becomes habitual, and now that is completely created, and your dog doesn't even know why it's doing it anymore, but it does,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So safety is that part where I say you need to see when your dog is confident. As a dog owner, your biggest job is that you understand the difference in the emotional state of your dog. You need to recognize when your dog is confident or not.
Yes.
When you know that, now you can play with it. But if your dog is not confident and you're trying to learn him things, it might be the opposite way.
Mhm. I love it. I love it. Let me look here. I want to grab.
I
I
love the
think I have.
questions.
Oh, I had 5. Been enjoying them. Bear with me here. I want to grab. I thought I wrote down Lori's because I believe she's here.
I cannot see anything. I have no idea.
Nope. I asked questions ahead of time, and I know Lori's here if she's still watching with us here, because she just got a new puppy. And I love this. And it's a question that I think a lot of people have as well. How do I stop my 14-week-old from chewing on furniture? What makes a puppy chew on furniture? I redirect her to a toy, but she gets fixated. She goes back to it. I put some white vinegar on it and it helps temporarily. She's teething. And I'm a lot of positive, I believe in, if I got it right, I believe in a lot of positive reinforcements when she plays with her toys. And so, any tips as far as training a 1 to 2 a pup? I can't talk. Any tips for a 14-week-old puppy? My tip would be to hire you, right? That's my first tip. So, tip number 1. Tip number 2 for training a puppy. I think there's a lot in there because I'm even just learning a lot now that I'm like going back. If you've been with us from the beginning, I think even just the stair stepping of getting the dog comfortable in the home, then the different places, right?
Mhm.
So tip 1 would be to go back and listen, unless you were here. I think you were here the whole time, Lori. But a lot of people do have the issues with dogs. They'll chew on stuff and they chew on the furniture and the toys. And I love that she's redirecting, but what else might be going on?
So I like to jump in on this part. So I am doing online lessons as well, and they're always in groups of 3 lessons. Yeah. So, and it doesn't matter if you have a puppy or an older dog, you can always build a stronger relationship. So when we work online, we are hearing your story, we're guiding you, and we start with some foundation games. And those foundation games are helping you to build you.
Mm.
So my question back to Lori is, why is she chewing on furnace? What is the reason? And I know she cannot answer here, But what is the reason that your dog is doing it? And when she's doing it, what are you doing?
Mm.
Because we can redirect, but are you communicating with your dog, or are you giving it attention? Are you making it more so that your dog feels rewarded? And you can, it's perfect. The redirection to toys or bones or things, it's perfect. If your dog is teething, like 14-week-old, it starts at that time. If your dog is teething, I always give the tip to have toys and put them in the freezer. Make them cold. I don't know about you, but I had kids, and the best thing we could do when they were teething is ice. So anything cold feels kind of soothing. So the furnace might be cooler than the toy right now. But if the toy goes in the freezer, maybe the toy will be the go-to.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So I ask questions back. And I want the owners to think about not just the problem, but what do they do right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's saying that her previous dog that never chewed, but maybe it's because her teeth bothering her. She does it out of nowhere, but she'll watch and see. She'll watch and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, have any toy and put it in the freezer. That works most of the time really well. And then the other part is a puppy. We expect that it's not chewing our furnace, but the teeth hurt. So why are you allowing your dog to have the option to chew
To
the
chew on the
furnace?
furniture. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So can you make the room, can you close it off so that there is no opportunity to chew the furnace in a time where your dog feels the need because it helps them to soothe?
Gotcha.
Yeah. So dog training is not just what you do, but it is also sometimes part of the management. And you are expecting your dog is not chewing the furnace, but you allow them to be there.
Mm. It's like tempting them. You can be in this room, but don't touch anything.
Yeah, right. And
Right.
and you can try, but if the dog shows that furnace is really tempting for them, you might need to think that you can block it off.
I laugh, and I know, Lori, it can be tough, especially when a dog's eating your couch. Or like Valerie had a similar question, and it was she loves to grab the flowers off artificial plants, destroy them in the corner of the couch, and then stuffs the evidence into the couch. I love that the dog is smart enough to hide it, but then the other dog goes and tattles on her. But so it's
Oh,
easy
hey,
to
you see,
yeah,
you
and then
see,
you have a
and
dog
why is
tattling.
that? And why is that? Because when the dog tattles about that dog, it gets rewarded by you.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Your dog is like, of course I will tell because that helps me. It's just like kids.
Mommy, look over here. Look what so and
Yeah,
so did.
yeah.
And
So
it's like, oh, thank you for telling me. Don't do
yeah.
this. Don't do this. Right.
But I have a dog who is crazy about pens. Like she grabs on. My whole desk is full of paperwork and books, and I don't know. There's so much stuff, but there can be one pen, and it can even be underneath a paper.
Oh
She will find it.
That's
It
hilarious.
it doesn't. It's not about everything there, but it's about the pen. The pen, maybe the cracking, or that we are all trying to chase her after the pen, right? Is what it makes it more.
Yeah. So even unwanted attention is still attention.
Of course,
Of course
of
it is.
course. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it.
And that is, and if you look with a smile to things, and like I work like I have a household with 4 kids. I am most of the time I'm more training my kids than my dog.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I am not chasing the dog after when she grabs a pen, but my kids do, she still has a blast. Right?
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
So take that in consideration. If you have a family where there is more people involved, it's not just about you. Maybe somebody else rewarded it.
Yeah.
And anything that is rewarded will come more of.
That's hilarious. I can all of a sudden hear my partner going, "Why are you rewarding him for bad behavior?" I'm like, "I don't know, because it's funny."
And but can you imagine that we start to laugh about our dogs? That our dogs, they think it's a party. They love
Yes.
us because they laugh.
Yeah.
So that can be so rewarding for your dog. So if your dog is doing something and you don't really like it, don't laugh. It really doesn't help.
I love it. All right. I want to be attentive to your time. So we can be done, but I got like 3 more questions. Do you have time?
Yes, I have.
I'm loving this. And I'm jumping in. I had actually 2, but a woman named Kim, I think it's a woman. I'm not sure. I never assume anymore these days, but Kim Hall.
Yeah, I know her.
Okay. Problem with dogs barking aggressively at other dogs and humans like wild animals. So barking dogs bark dogs. And I'm actually going to pull in her question. So dogs barking aggressively at other dogs and humans. And part of me wants to pull in Sarah's had a question. I'm going to chop up hers a little bit in case they're related. And Sarah's was also, how do you get your dog to understand that now is not playtime, no matter how much you bark at me? How do you communicate this? So I guess I'm just pulling the 2 barking things together because that's their way of speaking. Are they separate, the same?
I will take them separate. So go back to Sarah. First, she mentioned that when the dog is barking, but I don't have time, right? No playtime for me right now. You need to go back that there was a time that barking helped your dog to get what he wants.
Just like when we're born, babies, we cry, we're fed, we're changed, all of that. So the puppy stage, the same thing. The dog barked, we responded. Now the dog barks is annoying. Right?
Yes. So we loved it for a while, but not anymore. But your dog is still expecting it. That is kind of where it's coming from. So in this case, when that happens and you don't want the barking anymore for playtime, is that you need to break the behavior pattern.
Got it.
So how do you break it? That either way you block, that your dog knows really well what the expectation is with it. So it could be they go to a crate or a bed or something that they know the expectation here is to be there and quiet instead. Or you do something else so that your dog has not the expectation the barking gives me the playtime.
Because even her interaction with the dog now, the dog is still being responded to.
Right. Even if you say like, hey, Celia, I don't have time. Yeah.
It's still an answer.
Yes. So breaking the behavior pattern means that you need to give your dog a different job. And a job can be easy with just laying down on a bed. That's a job.
Yeah. So sometimes what we think is giving a dog a job is that simple.
Oh, yes.
So simple.
It's a job for your dog is a clarity of expectations.
Yes.
That's a job.
Beautiful.
Your dog knows, oh, if I do this, I know it gets rewarded. I know that this is what they want. Yeah. So that is that part, right? From Sarah. Now we go back to Kim. So you mentioned that the barking and sometimes even aggressively to other dogs or animals, wild animals, I think
It
you said.
said, let's see if I understand it how I'm interpreting it, that the dogs almost bark aggressively like a wild animal, but they're barking at other dogs and humans, and she's nervous to walk them anymore.
Okay, so I try to get a little bit of imagination here. If your dog is seeing a wild animal, maybe behind a window, right? And your dog barks, and the wild animal goes away. Is that a reward?
Because an action happened.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So anytime when I bark, it goes away. So, and if it doesn't go fast, then I need to bark more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard because wild animals we cannot control, right?
Sure.
So what we need to do is that we can
And she's
redirect.
probably I can just see a person in the window going, "Oh, look at the deer! How beautiful! Stop barking!" Because now we're chasing it off, and we're trying to enjoy the deer, and the dog's barking, and it's getting it to run away, and we're like,
Right.
"Shut up! Look at the deer! Shut up! It's beautiful."
Right. But even if we are completely like the extraordinary beauty of the wild animal taking in, our dogs feel that too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because our
So
dogs can sense our emotions, like I learned from
for
you,
sure,
how they feel
yeah,
our heartbeat from 5 feet away.
for
Yes.
sure, yeah. So and it's the same with dogs who are barking to other dogs. Either way, they get barking back, or it goes away. Both is rewarding, right?
Right.
So to change that behavior is you cannot control what happens there, but you can redirect it with a new behavior. Give them a job. So, for example, anytime when you see a deer outside, you're like, oh, deer. Your dog is like, oh, right, I need to be back to my bed because there is where I get the reward, right? That might be enough job for your dog that it doesn't have to bark anymore.
But then what if you're walking your dog and they go to attack another dog? That's going to be very different.
An attack of another dog, like that is hard. Like I like to be before that attack because we don't want attacks anyway. But if your dog is barking to another dog outside, right, where you might see another dog or something, there is a reason behind that. So go back to the emotional state. Is your dog confident at that time? If it's not, then distance is your best friend. So you need to have more distance to build that dogs can be around and you don't have to bark.
Confidence, distance, and space.
Yeah, but if we put them all together and we never taught them that other dogs are okay around us, how can we expect that they are not barking? Because they figured out that if I am in a space with other dogs and I bark, then either way they go away or they bark back. Perfect. That's what I want. Right?
Yeah.
But if they are from a fear barking, they show you and you can see that. You know your dog best. So start to explore how your dog looks confident. And when is your dog not confident? And make sure that your job is to give that safety to your dog, feed them, walk them, give that safety, and that safety gives them the confidence.
Yeah, which might even mean adjusting your schedule. Maybe it's adjusting it to it. I know there's a woman in our neighborhood, and I can tell she gets up at 5 a.m. when usually the neighborhood's a bit more quiet to walk her dogs. because
Yeah.
she has a similar situation where she can't walk it when, the peak of the neighborhood is up and moving. So she adjusts.
Yeah. So perfect because she managed her
Hmm.
time in a time that it is not as busy.
Yes.
And the
To give the dog
more,
space,
yes,
Yeah.
the more you practice in that space, the
Mhm.
stronger your relationship becomes. And now you might be half an hour later, one
Mhm.
time, and you come across more dogs.
Yeah.
And now, because you built a relationship already,
Mhm.
your dog might be still okay because it
Right.
trusts you.
So when she's saying, yeah, we walk 4 times a day, my thought from what I've learned from you today is it's wonderful, but it might be too much for the dog, right? Like where we go, that it reminds me, and correct me if I'm wrong, where we've taken our dog and we've taken a new dog, we've gone to the place for them to learn, the trainer, and now we want them to learn, but there's all this new environment. And even if it's the same neighborhood, and then we want them to do the thing, and we're taking them out of their place of confidence. So it might be where coming back, maybe it's just one walk and we start in the morning, or whenever, a quieter time to develop that confidence, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's
that's
how I
why
would put
we
it.
always tell you don't have to train like an hour a day. Like,
No.
I literally, for puppies, like Lori mentioned, 14-week-old puppy, we literally tell you to practice about 3 to 5 times a day, a minute at the time.
That's actually how I learned. They go, your dog does not have an hour attention span for this. They go,
No.
don't take your hour class and translate that to an hour a day.
Yeah.
It's training as a conscious action of what any interaction with your dog is a potential for training. It's
Yes.
not I'm going to train you. I'm going to
No.
go have life and then I'm going to come back to you. It's a
No.
conscious interaction as that pet. And I think that experience makes it, you know um, that's that different piece where people sometimes go, I don't know if I've got time for this. Well, you do have time. It's just the conscious communication different that
Yes.
allows for the adjustment that
Yes.
happens.
I always tell, like, if you get a puppy, you need
Mhm,
some extra time in the first couple weeks.
mhm,
But later on, you don't need more time, but you need your intention
mhm.
with your time.
Yes, yes.
And that is so important. But that means also that we have such busy schedules. So we kind of figure out how to fit it in our schedule. But
Mhm,
if it is stressful for us to fit the training in there, how
mhm.
are we showing up?
Right. Yeah,
Well,
we
if
are
we are
definitely
showing
the
up
key.
with stress, but
Mhm.
we expect that our dog needs to be calm, that's really not working, right?
But I think even in this case with like Kim, for example, if she's going to go walk her dog, if she's already in a place of stress because of the expectation of what's to
Yeah,
come because of
yeah,
what happened the day before, then
yeah,
her body starts. You and I talk about this just as coaches in general, the fight or flight. So when we as humans start in this place of fight or flight, and now we take the dog into the next experience with us from our fight or flight, all of our organs are actually shifting differently because in fight or flight, parts of our brain and parts of the body shut
yeah,
down.
yeah,
And when it shuts down, the dog probably experiences a notice in our biology and then doesn't know what to do with that because it's a scattered behavior. And now we're going to go try and walk. And so that's that interesting dynamic, I think, that happens, that it does come back to us. And I love that you said that. It comes back to what happened in the moment before. Where are we in our thoughts? Where are we in our emotions? Where are we
yes,
in thinking that, are we walking out of obligation? Are we walking in purpose? Do we need to
yes,
just walk one dog, not all the dogs? Is it just one walk? Is it I've got
yeah,
to adjust my schedule for, like, right? There's more to it. And I think it's even with, I remember when I was doing even just my own, when we did our certification for coaching together, I remember even my own saying it. I'm like, this is so much work. This is so much work. And I remember the my teacher looking and going, she's like, you're right. In the beginning, it feels like work because nothing is going the way you want it to be. And it's going to feel like work because now you're noticing all the little things. But there
Yeah.
will be this hump. You're not going to notice all the little things that feel like work. And because there'll be a shift of it'll just be what is. And when you
Yeah.
come out of the fight or flight into the rest repose state, and that was such a fascinating place to be. And now it's just, I'm on the flip of it. Everything is just a conscious choice. And so now, fight or flight, I'm like, oh, I feel the rub, but it doesn't feel like work to be conscious. But there is a shift
No,
that happens that it
yeah,
can feel like a lot, but it's
but
worth
you
it.
s- yeah, but you see also that the questions that are coming are all about the dog. I don't like that behavior from my dog, right?
Oh, yes, you're right. Yes, yes.
Because we're so focused on what we don't like from the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is my first question that I always ask to my dog owners is, so what do you like of the dog?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
start with that and focus on that because
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why you have a desire to get rid of the others. So that is one. We're talking about the behavior that we don't like from the dog. But also, I want to make sure that we have a job to make that relationship with our dog safe,
Mm-hmm.
trust, love.
Right.
So if we build that, our value grows.
Right.
So instead of thinking about my dog is barking to other dogs, how can I make myself more valuable so that my dog sees me and has no need to bark to other dogs?
It's beautiful.
So that is what I do in the training. So my first lessons are all about that foundation where we are building you. I am not even talking about any behavior problem in the
Mhm.
first three lessons. Because first,
Mm.
you need to build that stronger relationship where you start to see what I am doing is affecting what my dog is doing.
Mhm. And that's what makes you so different. It's not all about the dog. It's
It's
about the
not,
common bond that we have with the dog.
yeah,
And sometimes, not, I think more often than not, the people forget that they're an integral part about it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so the questions that always come when I have an interview are always behavior problems with their dogs.
Hmm. Yeah.
But go back and ask yourself, how can I build myself more valuable so there is no need for the dog to see anything else in the world
Hmm.
than me?
I love it. All right. I love this last question. So, um, Sarah talked about the best way to communicate with your dog, but I'm going to blend it with the question Mira had. She has a fascination for animals. Curious, how do we listen and tune in more to better our relationship, communication, and connection? I think you hit a lot of it on the head with the value piece by being more valuable to our dog. That's going to change the connection aspect. But I'd love any additional thoughts on that.
So, as humans, we are so dependent on language, right? Our
Very.
language is the one how we communicate. I want you to go back to feeling the relationship with your animal because I know Mira has horses, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So in my case, when I work with dog owners, I want that people start to go back to that feeling state instead of the language state. That's why in the first 3 weeks we don't even talk. It is all based on energy, on feelings.
Mm.
We need to go back to that intuitive level because that's the way how animals communicate with each other, but also with us.
Right.
So
So
if
true.
we go back to that level, then we understand when our dogs send us the messages of
Right.
not feeling confident, not feeling safe, things like that. And now we can act on it.
Mhm.
And if you act on a dog who's not feeling confident in a certain situation and you help him out, does that make your relationship stronger?
Absolutely.
So, do you think that your dog comes the next time when it feels like awkward in a situation? Do you think it's coming back to you?
Yeah, that's so
Because you
such
helped it out.
right. Mm, I love it. I love it. I know my dog, everything. My mom always says how telepathic he is, right? There's just no need and literally she communicates amazingly with him and he will follow all her commands and there's nothing verbal. She just talks to him in the head and it's fascinating. It's fascinating to watch, even though like I don't
Yeah.
always do that with my dog. But I love that I learned hand commands with him. And so like we do so be silly. So I look like a crazy person when I'm like, and that does a certain thing for my dog and just so I love it. But they're just such amazing beings.
Sometimes our language comes in the way with communicating with animals because we're so dependent, so related to. But if I say this, my dog should understand.
And I always ask why. Why should it?
Yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like saying, you should know what I'm thinking just because I'm
Yeah.
sitting there staring at you, right? Like we forget how, if we took it back and we were to say it to another human would be like, what the?
But also if like our friendship, right? For a couple of years now, we have a friendship, and that friendship is based on listening,
Mhm,
understanding, supporting,
mhm.
safety.
Yeah.
So, are we not committed to give that to our dogs too?
Mm, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you
So
so
that's,
much.
yeah,
This has been amazing. So, for those of you that would like to, had a lot of great questions, a lot of comments. I had a ton of messages, and I want to thank you all for all of it. So, if you would like to connect, you can go to joyfulsupport.com.
yes.
And she's also going to be writing a book. And that book is called Be the Change for Your Dog, a powerful, amazing book that's going to be coming out. So there are so many ways. And if you're looking for that deeper bond, that deeper connection, that deeper relationship where you can explore not only your own personal journey, but through the eyes of your dog, you've got the spiritual game changer. It's going to be far more powerful. It's more than just coaching. It's more than just dog training. It is truly a connection that I think can change the world through ways that you never saw coming. So it's a way to truly empower yourself, empower your dog, have greater confidence as that unique bond, and it can actually be very life changing for you and your family. No matter how big that family is. The other part that I do want to share because I can't not, we are co-authoring a book together
Yay!
and I am super excited. So I'm even more excited as we co-author a book. That book, it's gone to the publisher, so we're co-authoring within the Beyond the Shift series. It's the two of us plus two other women, and very excited. That book should be coming out before. I don't like to say the word should, but I believe I don't have the publishing schedule in front of me, but I believe before Christmas. So if you would like to experience a taste of a little bit of what I do, what Ariane does, and have that in a collective book that's got some powerful women with powerful stories, then you can get a taste of it. So now you've got two books that are coming in that you need to buy, hers and ours. So I
Yes.
am so grateful that you came on today. So grateful for your wisdom. I know that you have helped me in ways, like I said in the beginning, that I never saw coming. I've got a better relationship, and I wish that I would have met you back prior to any dog that I've ever associated with, because I know that I could have had a different relationship with the dog. But now, instead of looking back, I can just move forward and have the best relationship all the time with it. So,
And the timing is always right.
yeah. Oh, I just saw a note from our publisher. This is amazing. Yeah, November 22nd. Pamela is the publisher, and so November 22nd. That's when it's coming out. So y'all have 2 books to buy.
Yes.
And we appreciate your support, and I appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship and everything that you do and how you really touch the world, because it's more than just what you do in Canada. You've got clients that are all over the world, and you're doing great things. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure to be with you as a friend and even as a body worker, because I am still learning every phone call we have together from you as well. And that's where this world is for. We need to learn from each other. So be open, be interested, be curious,
Yeah.
and see what else is around us, because that makes us all in a better world.
It does.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have an amazing day. Give Joy a little scratch for me.
For sure. We will.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.